Yeah, can you make sure it's completely shut? It's not completely shut, though. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Sister Chat. On today's video I will be doing something completely different to what I've done in the past. It's actually something that I really enjoy. Really? Already? It's something that I really enjoy watching on other people's YouTube channels, and that's story times. I absolutely love them. Even if I don't know the person, I really enjoy listening to people's stories, and I thought it'd be really good to tell you a story that happened to me about 3 years ago. And it was when me and my then boyfriend, now fiance, went travelling to Australia. We travelled to Australia, just me and him. We had planned to meet our friend out there. I won't say any names, but we planned to meet our friend out there, and he was also with his friend, so it was like the 4 of us, but we only met them like nearer the end of our trip. We were out there for about 6 months, and I don't know if I should say where we went. I'll just say we went to Melbourne. So originally we flew to Sydney. We stayed there, or we were supposed to stay there 2 nights, but Matt got the dates wrong, so we only stayed there 1 night. Basically, I'm just going to tell you the story of how we actually left Australia, and it's actually quite crazy. Like, I can't actually believe it kind of happened to me and Mac. We're so low-key and we don't like causing any trouble for ourselves or anyone else. We're just really, I guess, nice people, I don't know. We managed to get ourselves in a bit of trouble and it wasn't great really. I mean, I would definitely go back to Australia, but... What are you doing? Shut the door properly, please. I would definitely go back to Australia, but it was the most eventful 6 months I think I've ever had in my life. Basically, we were out there for, I think it must have been like a month before we pretty much ran out of money. We had no job. We were 1 day away from being kicked out of our motel that we were in, which we loved staying in. That was our favourite place. And then everyone always goes on Gumtree. I think it's Gumtree. Yeah, everyone always goes on Gumtree and they put posts up about places to live, jobs and stuff, all for like backpacking. So I looked on there and I found a job at a telemarketing place, and Matt couldn't find a job. He came and worked at the telemarketing place, didn't like it, blah blah blah, whatever. And then we found this guy and I texted him. I was like, we need a place to live. We're 1 day away from being kicked out. Not kicked out, but you know, that was the day that we had to be out of the motel and we had no more money basically. We were like quite young. I think I had my 20th birthday out there. So I was 19 when we went, so I was quite young to be fair, and I was the youngest backpacker that I saw, or that we both saw. They were all like late 20s, I would have said. And he arranged basically for us to go see it. Literally, I think it was like 2 hours later. So we were like, yeah, we'll come over, and everyone has to pay like I think it's like a month in advance, and we said we don't have that money. We were so upfront with him. We said we don't have that money, and he said it's fine, like we'll work something out. And we were like, great, that's fantastic. And we turned up and these 2 girls were walking out, and I was like, oh god, like what if he's just given it to them? And I was a bit worried, but it was fine. We went in and he was with his friend called, I'm not going to say his name, let's just call him Brian. It's not his name at all, but Brian. And they were sitting having some drinks, and if anyone's been to Melbourne or Australia or anywhere in Australia, they will know how relaxed they are when it comes to working and drinking and just drinking in general. And they were literally, I think it must have been like midday, probably even before midday, and they were just like drinking. And he offered us a drink straight away. It was, I believe, rum and coke or gin or something that we don't drink. Like I drink vodka, Matt drinks his beer, or I drink cider or whatever, so we weren't used to drinking it. And he gave us this drink and it was so strong. Like I had half a cup and my head was like spinning already. It was so bad. Yeah, so he like showed us round. We basically got drunk with him. Like we spent the afternoon getting drunk with him, this random Aussie bloke that we'd never met before, and it was so he was actually really cool. Like we really liked him. He was like, I think late 30s, probably early, probably like 35, 36, something like that. So he's quite a bit older than us, but his whole personality and his persona was very much like a teenager, like a young kid. So he basically said to us, we got drunk with him, and he said, yep, you've got the room, like, you can move in now if you want. He made us go get our stuff. So we were walking down this road, and it was like the longest road, so long, back to our motel, and we were literally like this. It must have been, I reckon it must have been like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. Yeah, so we did that, and he was like, just bring all your stuff back now, like, just leave the motel early, whatever. And we were like, yeah. So we walked back, and then we had like all these massive bags and whatever. If you go backpacking, take a suitcase. Do not take a backpack, because it was the worst mistake I've ever made. I do not travel light. Matt does, but I don't. And I 100% recommend taking a suitcase. You can wheel a suitcase, unless you're going hiking, you can wheel a suitcase anywhere. So do not do what I did. Take a suitcase, not a backpack. That is my advice. But anyway, so we walked back. I was literally, my back was broken by the time, because it was literally like a 10-15 minute walk up this hill. And then when we walked through the door, Brian and our housemate was standing in the middle of the room. They were like shouting and whatever, and this guy was so paranoid. He also did take a lot of drugs, so it made him really paranoid. He did weed, and he also sniffed coke and stuff like that. That's another story. Obviously, like, me and Matt are quite strong-minded. We are not like that. We're not that way inclined at all. We do not take drugs. I've got nothing against it. I mean, it's your choice if you want to take drugs, but we just didn't want to, and he did offer them to us quite a few times, and we obviously declined every time. I don't mind that, because I know who I am. I know that I wouldn't take that, so that's fine. But yeah, when we walked through the front door, they were like carrying on like at each other, like, I want my money. And our housemate was a plasterer, so he'd done a job for this guy. He was notoriously known for not paying his workers, so he was like saying, I want my money. I thought they were kind of joking and stuff like that, like they seemed like jokers and whatever, so we were just sort of ignored it. And he was like, right, I'm gonna go and get my money. So he like told us where to put all our stuff, and like we unpacked everything. I think it must have only been an hour later, and we heard like banging and crashing downstairs, and they were like really drunk. We'd sobered up by this point. They were like really drunk, and they walked upstairs, and our housemate, I nearly said his name, he came into our room, and he was like, Brian's got blood all down his face. And I was like, what? And we started laughing. We thought it was funny. We were like, he's joking, like, haha. He was like, he's just been smashed over the head with a bottle. And we were like, haha, yeah, whatever. We were laughing. No, he came in with like blood dripping down. I was just like, oh my god. I was like, what the hell? I was like, what have we got ourselves? I was looking at Matt like, what have we got ourselves into? Like, I just honestly didn't know. He was like, we got the money. Well, no, I think he got half the money, but they started a fight or whatever, and I was just like, oh my god. And this guy, Brian, he was even older than our housemate. He must have been like in his early 40s, and I was just like, really? I was like, you're getting into fights and you're that old? Like, I don't know, it was really weird. But yeah, we were saying like you need to go to hospital and everything, but in Australia, sorry, they are really like, they don't have the NHS. Like in England you have the NHS. If you need to call an ambulance, you don't have to pay for it and stuff, but in Australia it is cheaper to get a taxi than an ambulance. Like, that is, to me, that's crazy, because obviously if you need it, you need it. I don't know, but they said it was like $1,000. I don't know if that was true or not, but that was what they said. So then he was like, no, I'm not gonna go to, he said prison then, not gonna go to hospital, I'm just gonna put ice on it or whatever. And he had like literally blood everywhere, and this guy was like bald, so he had like blood everywhere. Yeah, so I think the next day though he did go to the doctors and get stitches, because it was literally like gaping, so it was really bad. But yeah, that was literally our first night meeting this bloke, and it was mental, really. So our housemate took Matt on, and he did plastering, and Matt absolutely loved it. Like, he is the reason why Matt is, I think he calls it a hottie. I don't know if I got that right or not, but he's the reason why Matt does what he does today. Basically, he does stuff with his hands, I mean. Yeah, so I really appreciate that he did that for Matt, and he took Matt on to do that job. Matt's not a very talkative person, so he wasn't very good at doing the telemarketing. He did try it, to be fair, but he's not really that type of person, so it was actually really helpful, and it worked out really well that he did that. However, we obviously had to pay rent, and I can't remember for the life of me how much it was, because it was quite almost 3 years now, but he said obviously we owed him rent every week, and he said I will take it out of Matt's paycheck whenever he gets paid. So he got paid on a Friday, I think, every Friday, and he said I'll take it out of that paycheck. Now Matt is very, very good at paying people back. Matt was very good at being like, right, here's my money, and giving it, or do you know what I mean, like, I've got paid, here you go. So our housemate had said that he would do that, so before it gave him the money it would be taken out. Well, he didn't do that at all. Matt would go get the money and he'd be like, there you go, because I know you haven't taken it out of my account, and our housemate would be like, no, it's fine, like, don't worry about it. Like, he'd be like, go out and have a good time, have a good like weekend, and we'd be like, no, take the money, and he wouldn't take it. Matt is very polite, and obviously he's quite shy as well, and I think he felt really awkward about it. Like, he was always just like really weird with money. Like, one minute he was like, oh, you owe me this much, and then the next minute he was like, oh no, don't worry about it, and stuff like that. It was my birthday and he said, oh, you owe me this much money. So Matt was like, okay, there you go. And he said, oh no, but it's Hannah's birthday, isn't it? And he was like, do you want more money? And Matt was like, well, you're saying that I owe you money, but then you're saying, oh no, it's fine just because it's her birthday. But then he kept on saying, oh, you owe me this and you owe me. He was just a really weird bloke, to be honest. But anyway, the part of the story that I want to get to, I will obviously go through other parts if you want me to in another story time, but the part that I want to get to is when we actually left Australia. So I had been ill, really ill. I basically have, not many people know this, but I have a bladder disease, and it affects my kidneys as well. So when, I think it was like a month before we left, or 2 months, I got a bladder infection, and I don't know if people know this, but if you don't treat a bladder infection it can get worse and worse and worse, and then it can go to your kidneys. So I'm so bad at drinking. I cannot drink for the life of me. Like, I keep these, I do everything I can. I will keep them beside me filled up all the time because I'm so bad at drinking. So I always contract stuff like this, but that's not the reason why I've got a bladder disease. It's just, that's part of it, the reason why I get bad kidney infections and stuff like that. But anyway, I went to the doctors, and to go to the doctors in Australia it's $100 without even paying for any of the medication or anything. So I went out there, and I'd had so many of these infections before, and I said to her, I was like, I know I've got a kidney infection. I said, I 100% I know I do. Like, I was having pain in my lower back, I could barely walk, I couldn't do anything, like, I was in so much pain. And I remember, because Matt was at work, he couldn't take me, and I think, yeah, our friend was with him as well, so he couldn't come with me, so I was literally on my own, and I had to walk to the doctors, and it was horrible. She was like, no, you haven't. She said, but if the pain gets any worse, you'll have to go to hospital. She was like really laid back and chilled about it, and I know doctors have to be like that, but I thought, I think you're being a bit too casual about this. Like, kidneys are such an important part of your body, and I was in a lot of pain, and she could see I was, and I handle pain really well as a person. Like, I'm not a wimp, like, I really do handle pain well. So she gave me this medication, and it wasn't actually for my kidney, it was like for your bladder, like for bladder infections. And I thought, okay, whatever, fine, I'll take them for 24 hours. If it doesn't work, then I'll have to do something else. So I went and got the medication. I was walking back up this hill, and basically I passed out because the pain was so severe, like it was so bad. But I was fine. Like, I got back to the house, and then Matt found me. I think I took the medication for like a full day from when I got it. Matt came home and he saw me laying in bed, and he was just like, he's not usually a pushy or a bossy person, but he was like, no, you're going to hospital. And I don't ever want to make a fuss. I don't want to go to hospital. I don't enjoy it. It's not like a fun, it's not like, yay, everyone's gonna give me attention, like, yes, I'm going to hospital. Like, it is not like that. I just hate it so much. Obviously I was thousands of miles away from my family as well, so I was only with Matt, and I was in hospital overnight with a drip in my arm. But yeah, that's another story basically. So I was really ill, and I came out of hospital the next day, and in my head I'd already decided I just want to go home. Like, I just had enough. at this point because I'd been in pain for like weeks and I could barely walk. Even when we first got there I had a bladder infection and I was fine with it, but it was just horrible because every time I had to pay out money, more and more money, and it wasn't just like 20 quid or like 30 quid, it was like $200 at a time and stuff like that, so it's quite a big chunk when you're travelling, and I just thought this is just ridiculous. I'm not having any fun. I'm in a country where I don't know anyone and I just wanted to go home. So I had it in my head, I was like, I'm going home, and I did say to Matt, I said, I'm not going to ruin this for you. If you want to stay out here, you can stay out here, but I said I need to go home for me because I'm not having fun. It's not a fun experience for me anymore. And obviously I would have been really upset if he'd have stayed, but being the lovely boyfriend that he was, he agreed to come home with me. So I was so happy about that, but obviously I wasn't gonna, if he wanted to stay then I wouldn't have forced him to come home, like 100%. We decided to go home, but the only trouble was we had actually racked up so much debt with this guy, which wasn't our fault in the first place. We were so straightforward with him and so like, here's your money. He was always like, no, and he was always like telling us that we owed him more money, and Matt pretty much worked all his jobs for him. This guy would drop Matt off and then he'd come home and I'd be at home like, where's Matt? And he'd be like, oh, he's doing the job for me. And I'd just see him, he'd be like at home doing nothing. You've just dropped off an inexperienced plasterer at this job, pretty much like an apprentice, I guess, to do a job, and then just drove away. It just sort of blew my mind. I thought, he's making you so much money and you're telling us that we owe you money. He was getting thousands on thousands a day for these jobs that Matt was doing. Like, it was ridiculous. So basically, the night that we decided to leave, so we booked our tickets, whatever, we decided to leave, so we packed up all our stuff. We had a massive bag that we'd bought out there, like a pulley long bag, but like a really big duffel bag kind of thing, and then we also had our backpacks as well. So we had 3 bags to get out of this place without this guy knowing, because we were leaving without him knowing about it, and it was really, really scary. So our friend came round and basically he had rented a place from our housemate's best friend up the road, so literally like 10-minute walk up the road. Sorry about the noise in the background. Yeah, so we had planned that we were gonna take half of our stuff up the road to his house and leave it there overnight, because we weren't leaving to the following night, but we were gonna sneak out the house the next morning before our housemate had even woken up. So we'd been living with this guy for like 5 months now, and it was just too much. Like, everything was just too much. Like, he ended up not being a very nice person. Like, he was just paranoid, and he did a lot of nice things for us. He just wasn't like the type of person that we wanted to be around. Like, he took drugs and stuff like that, so whatever. We wanted to leave, and also because I was ill. Yeah, so we packed up this massive bag, and that was the bag that we were taking downstairs, and I think also Matt's rucksack. So, and these stairs were like wooden stairs, so I think our housemate was in his bedroom. Matt and our friend were walking downstairs with the bags, and I had to stay in the room so it looked like we hadn't left or whatever. We were still there. Turned up the TV really loud, and yeah, so they walked and they took our bag back to our friends. So that bit was fine, like that was completely fine. The next thing was we had to print off our tickets. So it was so stupid, like, and I swear these days you don't even have to do that, but we had to print them off for some reason. So the only computer in the house was his computer in his office. He did a lot of DJing, so we went out in the evenings. We had to wait till we went out to print off these tickets. When we printed them off, the whole thing froze on the tickets. It was literally like someone was trying to get us into trouble. Someone was looking down on us and thought, oh, I'm just gonna create some shit for them, basically. It was so scary, and I was freaking out. Matt was freaking out, and I thought, even if we turn off this computer, we haven't got his login details to log back in the computer. It will still be on there, so we had to delete it from the whole browser history. Luckily, it unfroze. We deleted the whole thing. We deleted the browser history, everything was fine, so that was good. And then, so we stayed overnight, and then we woke up, and I think he'd already gone to work. Yeah, he'd already gone to work, and we planned for our friend to come to ours to help us to go to his house. So we got our stuff, and this is a very, very open plan house, so if you walk down the stairs you can see the kitchen, the lounge, the front door, everything. So it's quite small, but like quite a good size for one person. So you walk down the stairs and you can see the doors right there. So we were walking down the stairs and I remember thinking, if he walks through this door, honestly we had nothing to say. So I thought, if we get caught now, like we're screwed, like we're not leaving tonight. But we walked down the stairs and it was fine. I remember giving like the house one last look around and it was so weird leaving there. It was so scary though. When you walk out, so it's not like a front garden because it's all like it's like a garage and then like concrete, I don't know, it was really weird set out. And then you walk through the back gate, which is like the front door. It's really strange. We had to walk along this really long road to get to our friend's little apartment, and I thought he could drive past us at any moment. We had our backpacks and everything and we just looked like we were leaving and I was freaking out. And this is 10 minutes that we've got to walk down this road, and if we get caught, that's it, we're screwed. But we did make it, thank God. It was really scary. We spent the whole rest of the day just sightseeing, and then we went back to our friend's apartment and we were just sitting on the bed watching movies. Thinking back now, like how stupid, because he could have easily found us and he could have easily been, oh well, they're not here, they're obviously going to be at his friend's apartment, which his friend owned the apartment. It was really stupid, but we had to do it. We had to get away. It was really scary. I'll never forget the feeling like when we got to the airport. It was like such a relief. So if you like this video, guys, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, comment down below any suggestions you might have for future videos. Also don't forget to subscribe to us, and we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.